Hi, and welcome to Asian Photography's YouTube channel. My name is Bhavya Desai, and today is all about the photography industry. Now, since the time the COVID pandemic has started, a lot of businesses and industries have been under a lot of strain, and the photography industry is not different. Now, I'm sure the brands are thinking whether there'll be enough sales. Photographers are wondering whether there'll be shoots, whether there'll be weddings, whether there'll be business this year. So, in this video, we're going to try and answer all of those questions with the help of a lot of industry experts and leading photographers. But before we answer all of those questions, let's first get a perspective of what the industry was before this pandemic hit. In 2017, as per the reports from Research and Markets, the overall size of the global digital photography market, which is basically every picture which is taken via a sensor and a lens, was close to about $79 billion. And this was supposed to increase to about $150 billion by 2026 at a CAGR of about 7.2%. Most factors that were influencing this growth was the keen interest in photography and also the increased sales of smartphones. Now, it is natural that these numbers will look different post the pandemic. But what's important is that how different are these numbers going to look and also how fast the market is going to recover. Now, the same research also talks about the global photography services in the year 2019, and that is pegged to be at $39.6 billion in 2019, and that was supposed to reduce by minus 2.1% to about $36.1 billion, and that is primarily due to the COVID pandemic. But what's the good news is that the same market is going to recover in the year 2021 and grow at 7% to reach about $41 billion by 2023. So, what this tells us is that this situation is temporary and things will definitely become better, as explained by Don France, who's a US based industry expert.
Have a great outlook for the industry. Yes, it will be different when the crisis is over. Yes, we'll all be different. We'll have to find new ways of doing things, new ways of photographing. But the industry will thrive. It will continue growing. And we'll all, hopefully, be part of it.
And when it comes to the printing photography market, the situation is quite similar as explained by Ayappa Durai in his chat.
People are staying home, they have a lot of time, and then they are actually going and retrieving the old digital pictures and trying to print them. And worldwide, we've seen a spike, a good spike of the amateur photo printing business. So it's kind of, for me, mixed bag on the printing side.
Now, I know as a photographer what you're thinking. How do these numbers really affect you? Because the most important question in your mind is, will there be any business this year? Especially with the number of restrictions that the government has put in place. So, if you are in the wedding genre, then we asked Arjun Kartha, and this is what he had to say.
So yes, so business was severely affected for the months of the lockdown, and also when the government said, look, you can't come out of the house and you have to stay indoors. Obviously, weddings could not happen. But obviously, there is a lot of comeback that is happening, and what we are very, very sure of is that there are a lot of couples who wanted to get married, but obviously could not, and that spillover and that shall we say trickle down is going to happen in the coming months. And for sure, I think in the end of 2020 and the beginning of 2021, we're going to see a huge upsurge of people who wanted to get married earlier but could not.
And it is not only Arjun who has this to say, but these sentiments are very much echoed across the industry from by many other photographers. And if you are in the videography or the wedding filming genre, then we spoke to Vishal Punjabi, and this is how he put it.
I don't think weddings will stop happening, but the photographers and videographers that would remain in the market would be the ones with a lot of talent and the ones that are honest and good with good working ethic.
And that will not only be the case when it comes to the wedding genre. The other genres will also see the same growth. It's true that close to 60% of the photography industry in India constitutes wedding photography. But the other genres are equally important, like fashion, commercial, wildlife, And all of these genres will also remain intact like they've been before. The only industry that I anticipate will really get hit, at least in the interim, is basically the travel genre, as Sudhir Shivaram explains it.
Photography, be it with respect to product photography, then portfolio creation, food photography, be it up to some extent wedding photography and anything else outside of the tourism related area. So there the photography industry, the photography business will continue to flourish.
So now that you know that there will be business this year, the next question in your mind must be how should the pricing work? Should you reduce the price because of the pandemic?
Do not give in to the temptation of dropping rates, because once you do, it's a slippery slope, and once you go down that slippery slope, there is no coming back. So stick to what you're good at, stick to what you charge, and weather it out.
My personal recommendation is do not change your costing. Because of the current situation, it doesn't mean that like the demand has gone down or like you should change your pricing strategy, reduce the costing. My personal recommendation is no. Go ahead with whatever you have been charging your clients, and I think you should be able to sustain with that.
The pandemic has allowed everybody to kind of restructure and reanalyze the way they are charging and the way they make money and the way they make revenue out of this business that they're creating. I, for one, have slashed my rates drastically, not because we're trying to do more weddings, but I think it requires a lot less effort now. Since there are fewer people and fewer events, films are not going to be 1 hour long, photographs won't have 1,000 people in them, and therefore you'll require a lot less people and a lot less time in post-production to deliver what you need to deliver. So if you can relook at how much you're making, maybe this is the time to say quantity might just be better.
And in this case, there is no one answer that I can give you. For instance, there is no one shoe fits all sort of a philosophy. This really depends on what is the sort of genre that you're in and what is the type of business that you're dealing with. So this brings us to one of the most important questions, that is, how is it that you can bridge the gap of the lost revenue? Now this depends upon how adaptable and innovative you are as a photographer. Because this year is all going to be about adaptability, and photographers in the industry have already started doing that. For instance, people in the wedding genre have already started revisiting things in order to do something which is innovative and new, as A. Appadurai gives some examples.
A photographer who shot the new normal wedding with just 50 people did this hard work and prepared a beautiful photo book of the wedding, the story of the wedding, and he presented to the couple and the family. And along with it, along with this beautiful photo book, he also did the same photo book in a miniature form, in a 4x6 size, in a miniature form. Same, everything else remains the same. And he actually made this a killer statement to the couple and their family. He said, "Look, everybody is disappointed today that a lot of relatives who should have been to the wedding have not come to the wedding because of this restriction. And I don't want to disappoint them. So, choose one of the best relatives that you have and use this miniature photo book and send it. This is possibly a gift from my side to the couple." Believe it or not, this becomes such a hit. For that one wedding, this guy has done 220 miniature books. For me, this is innovation. I think innovations like this is what's going to help us survive and also thrive in the future.
And if you're not from the wedding genre, then in other genres, you can actually look at doing online tutoring, webinars, you can actually take seminars and master classes online. The objective is to adapt and do something that grows your followers, grows the online reach so that you're able to capitalize it when things become normal. Because it is not only you as a photographer who's looking to grow that industry, but also brands at this point of time who are looking to tie up with more and more photographers to maximize their reach, as Sudhir points out.
Now, one way where we can try to sustain or bridge the gap with the whole revenue lost is mainly to see like if we can use our existing knowledge to do any kind of online workshops. A lot of people who had knowledge, like who were into teaching line, So the best thing is to get to the online platform and start teaching. Now keep the cost. Now this is where the cost aspect comes into picture, where you have to decide whether you want to keep the charge a little high with less number of people, or keep the charge a little low and go for volume basis. So this is a balance which you have to basically decide based on what kind of course you are willing to teach. Now the other thing is it need not be always teaching about the concepts of photography. Now within this area, if you see, there are a lot of other scope what you can do. Obviously, you can get into review of images. So if you are good at your photography and that is something which you are good at, then you can start offering these services at a nominal cost. You decide, there are definitely people who will be waiting, who wants to basically get their images reviewed. So that is basically a small area.
So this brings us to the next question, whether there'll be delay in launching of the products and its supply chain. So the simple answer to that question is yes and a no. Yes, there will not be any delay when it comes to the launch of products, because as you've seen, most of the brands have already launched their products and they will continue to do so throughout the year. It's just that they will be more in a virtual environment, which we've gotten used to during this pandemic, as Sukumaran from Canon points out.
Well, the pandemic has definitely prompted every industry to relook at our strategies, and at Canon, we've also done the same. But if you look at product launch, we have huge confidence in Indian market, and we've just gone ahead with our plan. And I've seen some great response coming in from our customers on the product.
But we do anticipate a delay and an impact to the supply chain due to the COVID pandemic. So if you've ordered any new products or are planning to order any new products, then do be patient, because there might be a chance that those products might get delayed before they reach your hand. And while these products will continue to get launched, if as a photographer you're expecting higher discounts and better prices owing to the fact that this year has been slow, then that is unlikely to happen. And the simple reason for that is there are a number of factors that affect the pricing of the photography products. And one of the key ones is the dollar rupee ratio, as Sajjan Kumar from Nikon explains it.
A company like us, due to rupee depreciation, we are impacted heavily. So our idea is that to absorb it to the maximum extent, so that we don't pass it on to our customers in this tough time. But we are keeping a check on the situation.
But what you can expect is some great and unique offers from a number of manufacturers, like the one from Panasonic, as explained by Sandeep Sehgal.
To support and extend our commitment to safeguard the well-being of our consumers and dealers, we recently announced a special industry-first COVID-19 medical insurance on the purchase of any Panasonic camera. To further aid consumers, we are providing an array of consumer-centric schemes and offers such as extended warranty and no cost EMI schemes.
But with all of these new products being launched, should you really upgrade to any of these products? Now, this really depends upon where you are at as a photographer. So, if you're a person who's really looking for new equipment and were anticipating and hoping that those prices will come down, then that's not going to happen. So, that means that this is the time that you should be upgrading towards the newer products, because my best guess is that sometime post Diwali, these prices will surely go up and definitely not down. But if you're someone who can make do with whatever your equipment is currently and don't really need to upgrade, then you should probably stay put, because the high chances are that you're not really going to get a chance to shoot with your products as much as you like. But one of the most important things that we as stakeholders in this industry need to promote and project is positive news, as Sukumaran points out.
I believe the need of the hour today is to build a very positive mindshare among our consumers and a deep interest in photography. At Canon, we've done a lot of work in this area, and we've used social media effectively.
And the best way to understand and summarize what the industry is doing and should be doing is what Sajjan Kumar summarizes it at.
I will say maybe this is the year where we should remain cautious. Let us contribute as an individual how we can take all the precautions and help, I will say, whole country as well as society to come out of this pandemic situation remain positive, and I'm looking forward to a good business scenario in the coming quarters.
So there you have it. We know that the business is going to remain intact and will thrive. We just have to be patient and adapt to the current scenario. Do let us know what you think about that in the comments. And if you like this video, then make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Do follow us on Instagram as well. And until next time, happy viewing.